phone number, of course, on McKenty Live, which gives us access to more people in Quebec City, Ottawa. 1-863-9995. Don't forget, you have to call the 800. 1-800-363-9995. Any of your calls on any aspect of sexuality with marital therapist Tobi Klein. How important is it in a relationship that sexual desire be mutual?
I think it's very important in a relationship that the desire be mutual. Unfortunately, appetites are usually different, and some people have different clocks. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people, but the desire has to be there. Sometimes I think couples do well that if they don't have the desire on a particular evening and their spouse does, that they put themselves out a little bit, or that they let their spouse get them in the mood, so to speak. But
the old thing, I have a headache, is still pretty prevalent?
Old thing, it most certainly is very prevalent. I have a headache, or the baby needs me, or I'm tired is a very prevalent kind of thing. Yeah. But I certainly think that, and it's one of the things that couples don't think about often enough, is to put themselves out sometimes just to make their spouse happy.
Yep. Okay. Any aspect of relationships, sexual relationships, 1-800-363-9995. That's a long number, but you give us a call, you'll get through. 1-800-363-9995. And we're going to NDG. Yes, you're on with Tobi Klein. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name's Mo. I'm calling from NDG. I'm wondering, is sexual fantasies in a relationship healthy?
Yes, it's something that people feel very funny about, but fantasies are really used to enhance a sexual relationship. They're not dangerous. Very often what happens is people feel that if they fantasize perhaps about somebody other than their partner, that they're being disloyal. But sexual fantasies can enhance a person's sex life. They're there to be enjoyed, and
he sometimes feels like he's cheating on me when we're using the fantasies, you know?
Well, I think it's important to educate yourself on the fact that fantasy is not the mother of reality. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you think of something that it's going to lead to something else, or because you think of another person that it means that you don't love your partner. Very often when we get angry, we say, I'd like to kill somebody, and we sort of get a great feeling talking that way. That doesn't necessarily mean that we get so angry that we do something wrong.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you for calling. These little magazines that come out every month, sizzling love letters, I mean, are they helpful for some people in terms of excitement?
I guess they are for some people.
Because the fantasies in them, I mean, I've read some of them, I'll confess, and the fantasies in them are kind of outlandish.
Well, I think that if they turn people on, then they're kind of harmless. I think that what happens is that if you don't have a good relationship and somebody uses magazines and movies and other things, or going out to bars or places where they have strip dancers, that's when the partner feels offended.
So the fantasies should be based on a solid relationship.
Solid relationship.
Okay. Granby, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm living with a man who is much older than I am, and he's been married before and divorced, and he can go for a month or 2 months at a time without not a sexual relationship, but any holding or cuddling or whatever, and it doesn't seem to bother him at all. And whenever I ask him about it, he says he doesn't understand why it should be so important to me.
What's the age difference?
19 years.
And how old are you?
24.
24, so he's not very old.
No.
And, but I think the age difference may not be a factor. Has this been a problem for him in his past relationships?
He says it has, but he said it's been getting progressively worse since he was divorced. Like, he lived alone for a long time.
And is he working? Is he active?
Yes.
Okay, and your relationship is a good one other than...
Oh, yes, very good.
Well, do you talk about it, or does he feel that he's over the hill and this is the way it is?
Sometimes he has that opinion, but we talk about it quite often because I'm very emotional myself, and it really bothers me when, you know, he doesn't say things like he loves me and stuff like that.
I think that's the thing that you're missing, is the affection even outside the bedroom.
Yeah.
And that's something that perhaps you have to try and get across to him, that it is very important to you, and that if he makes an effort, very often when people are not in the mood, if they do the activity, if they force themselves to do it, it gets easier and easier, and very often you can turn it around. If it doesn't get better that way, then I would suggest that perhaps he contact someone to see why his interest in sex has fizzled out.
Sometimes, Tobi, you have to give the man a very strong message. My wife said to me the other day that she thought it was about time that I got her some flowers.
Well, I hope she got the message through.
Yeah, and she got the flowers.
Oh, good for you.
Montreal, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Tima.
Hi.
Okay, I was just wondering, my husband and I seem to be experiencing some difficulty in sex. I find that when I'm with him, it hurts more than anything else, and I don't desire to be with him because he's never home.
It hurts because it's painful?
Yeah.
Well, there is a condition known as painful intercourse. It's called dyspareunia. And have you checked with your gynecologist to find out why you're experiencing the pain?
He just says it's because I'm not relaxing enough. But I find it hard to relax when somebody's not home at all. Like, he works almost 7 days a week, and I'm usually only with him on weekends. And we have tried to talk about it, and he doesn't find that there's a problem.
There are two messages. The pain is also the fact that he's not around.
Yeah, that could be it. I don't find myself as relaxed with him.
Well, let me ask you something. Are you angry at him?
Yes.
Okay. I think that that's probably one of the messages that he's getting, is the fact that you're angry at him, and this is your way of expressing your anger, and perhaps a talk with him about the fact that you miss him, that you would like him around a little bit more, and perhaps giving him the message that you do love him and that you do want to be with him will help you spend a little more time outside the bedroom in terms of cuddling, hugging, kissing, and trying to become more relaxed with this person. If it doesn't improve, then perhaps speaking with someone. You might also try to use some KY jelly that may help you with the pain.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for calling. Laval, go ahead, please. You're on with Tobi Klein.
Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. I'd like to ask Ms. Tobi Klein a question about, okay, I'm 24 years old. I'm about to get married in about a year and a half from now. Okay, and my girlfriend, she's, well, lately, she doesn't feel like, you know, guys obviously on more occasions like to have sex more than the women. Okay, I don't know if that's right.
Well, that's true in your case, and sometimes it's the other way around.
Yeah, okay, but on the majority of cases, I think for the guys that, you know. But, and the thing is that she's telling me when we get married, I'll sort of give you more of what you want. You know, she doesn't feel comfortable. But before she did feel comfortable in my house, whatever, you know. I mean, I don't know how to get around this.
Well, I think that it's not always the case that after marriage things get better.
I know that.
Are you saying that she wants to be a virgin?
No, she's not a virgin.
She's not a virgin.
It's that, you know, lately, and, you know, I think it's going to keep getting worse. I don't want the relationship to end because I really love this girl, okay? But I want it to be, you know, well, whenever I want, it's, you know, I want to be comforted more than I'm getting, you know what I mean?
All right, well, how often is she refusing you, and how often are you asking?
Well, it's me that mostly, you know, if I see her 3 times a week or whatever, you know, because we both work, you know, If I want, she's more reluctant to say, no, I don't feel like it, or no, I'm not in the mood.
How often are you having sexual relations?
Okay, I see her about 4 times a week, maybe on, it takes me a long time to convince her, okay, come on, this and that.
How often are you having it?
2 times a week.
Well, 2 times a week out of 4 is 4 times of seeing her is really not too bad. That's 50% of the time that you're together.
Yeah.
It's really not too bad. You have to understand that it is a little bit difficult at times when you're not living together.
I just feel like it's deteriorating.
Well, if it continues to, I would suggest that before you do get married that you try and get your relationship more comfortable, because my feeling is that if you wait until after marriage, you may be very surprised.
That's what I thought, because I listen to a lot of these medical doctors and psychologists and,
Thank you, sir, for calling. It's a general rule that if there's a problem before marriage...
look into it before marriage.
Yeah, and we'll be right back with Tobi Klein after this short break. Welcome back to McKenty Live this Friday morning. Guest, Tobi Klein, talking about relationships, sexual relationships, lines blazing. Montreal, go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm 44 years old, and my friend is 52 years old. We're talking about living together this summer. But my boyfriend seems to be much more hot-tempered than I am, And this scares me because I'm afraid, I want to live in harmony with myself, going to my rhythm, and I'm afraid that he's going to be frustrated all the time. So what can I do? Is it going to be balanced with the time? Are we going to adjust ourselves, or is it something of your nature that just doesn't change?
You're talking about he's more interested in sex or has a bigger sexual appetite than you do?
Right.
And you're afraid you won't be able to live up to his expectations?
Well, I don't actually right now, because I want to live accordingly to my needs, and I'm okay with having sex maybe once a week. But he's always after me, and it gets to annoy me. And I try to tell him, and he's willing to make efforts in order, to slow down, not to bother me so much. But I'm afraid that inside, his nature, he's being frustrated, and that on the long run, it's going to be a source of problem between us.
Well, I think that it's good to pay attention to this. I think that you have to sit down and have a frank talk with him and tell him that his interest in sex seems to be greater than yours. We don't actually know whether it is greater or whether this is his way of letting you know that he loves you and that he's interested in you. Sometimes I think you can take it as a compliment rather than as him bugging you.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to tell him that you would be satisfied with sex once or twice a week, and could he live with it?
Yeah, but you see, he's a widower, and I think that he's been deprived of sex, for maybe 30 years. And now, he finds me attractive, and he's always after me. But I actually, maybe I feel that as he has been deprived, is he overdoing it right now? Is it going to slow down?
I think it's probably the result of somebody who's been on a starvation diet. And perhaps as you begin to look after him and as he begins to feel that you do love him and you do care about him, that maybe his anxiety about sex will go down. But I still think it's worth having a frank talk with him. And the other thing is to make sure that your sex life is compatible. I might just add one word, that as men get older, their need for sex changes in that it diminishes a little bit, and they enjoy having just the holding and the cuddling and the touching.
It seems to be the contrary right now.
Pardon?
Okay.
It seems to be the contrary right now.
Okay, well, it's probably the result of starvation. Good luck.
In your practice, is it more difficult to slow somebody down or speed somebody up?
It's more difficult to speed somebody up.
Well, I thought. Westmount, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'd like to talk about my relationship with my girlfriend. At the beginning of the relationship, I didn't desire her in a sexual way as much as she did. So I found myself more or less, she was aggressive, sexually aggressive, and I wasn't turned on to that. So after a year and a half, I find myself being extremely sexually aggressive now, and she's taken the opposite role. And I was just wondering, well, I find it very difficult because I sometimes I get jealous. I think that because she has such an active social life that maybe she's become sexually attracted to someone else.
Well, you seem to have built up a certain dynamic that when one is interested, the other one's less interested, and no matter who is the assertive one, the other person is sort of going in the other direction. And it's something that is going to need a little work. If you're going to have an ongoing relationship, then both of you have to feel comfortable in developing the kind of intimacy that you would want to have in a relationship. It sounded that when she was interested in you, your tendency was to pull away. And now that you're interested, her tendency is to pull away, and you just may have a dynamic that prevents both of you from getting really close.
Well, I find that she has a tendency of being coy, but I sometimes she'll say to me that, oh, you just want one thing, and it's not that, because we spend a great deal of time together, and we share a lot of those special moments of cuddling and tenderness, but anytime I try to initiate something further than that, sometimes she tries to say, she tries to give me the impression that she's a little bit standoffish.
How often do you have a sexual relationship now?
Well, as often as as often as possible, because I love her immensely. But I didn't want to abuse the sexual aspect in the beginning of the relationship. I just wanted it to grow, and we've grown to a point where we love each other immensely. But I find my sexual appetite is humongous compared to hers.
But it may only be humongous when she's less interested, because when she was more interested, you were less interested. So I think you have to look at that aspect of your relationship.
Thank you for calling, sir. I do have to move along. Montreal, go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to speak about a small problem I have with my sexual performances.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, my problem is premature ejaculation. You see, my wife and I, we have a great sex life. We have sex often. We both enjoy it. But the problem is, like I said, premature ejaculation.
How long have you been married, sir?
Close to 3 years now.
Okay, and the premature ejaculation has always been there?
Yes, it's always been there.
Okay, well, premature ejaculation is one of the sexual dysfunctions. It means that you ejaculate more quickly than you want to, and it is one of the treatable sexual dysfunctions, and I would suggest that if it is something that you want to get over, that you go for treatment, because if you have a good relationship with your partner, it's not that difficult to treat.
It isn't? Well,
no.
Where would I go for that? Who would I see?
A sex therapist or a sex therapy clinic.
And you can call here and we'll give you Toby's number, or you look Toby's number up in the phone book, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Dorval, go ahead, please. Dorval?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, my name is Steve. I'm calling from Dorval. I'm 23 years old, and I happen to have a girlfriend that's 33 years old. My problem is that a lot of her friends, I'm having a problem like going out with them and kind of relating to them.
It's one of the difficulties when there's an age difference.
Well, it's a big difficulty, believe me.
Pardon?
It's a big difficulty for me, yeah.
Well, if it becomes too big a difficulty, it may be something that you'll have to consider in terms of whether you can handle a relationship with a woman who's 10 years older, because I think that for her to relate to your friends who are 23 may be difficult for her. How are you compatible in terms of sex life and other activities?
Well, we have a lot of fun together. I like being with her alone. I like going out with her. It's being really good. Just the fact going out with her friends and doing the things that they like to do, and then I might want to do something else, and they kind of look at it as if I'm still a kid or whatsoever, and it does hurt me. I don't really say anything to her, but it does hurt.
Well, I think that you should say something to her and discuss it and perhaps find ways of becoming more comfortable. Perhaps with time and getting to know her friends better, you'll feel more at ease with them.
I think perhaps we have time for one more call. Montreal, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. I have a girlfriend, and we sort of have a little problem in terms of her, well, I can't, or rather, I don't like giving her oral sex. It's not really a problem, but I see it as a problem because I've been with other girls before, and I've always been able to sort of get by that. I've always been able to satisfy them in any, other way. But it seems that she insists that she will only orgasm through oral sex, and she refuses to let me touch her in her areas at all, or just do anything else to sort of rectify the problem. I just want to know your views in terms of...
I have to be quick, Tobi.
Okay. Yeah, how what do you think?
Okay, I think that anybody who just has one preference leaves themselves open to a problem. I think that one of the things you could do is perhaps try and satisfy her orally at times, but I also think it's her responsibility to perhaps get more comfortable in letting you give her pleasure in other ways.
And that's all the time we have, and we'll be right back after this short break. I want to thank Tobi Klein, sex therapist, marital counselor, who will be back on McKenty Live again. John Hudson, next week, Another World. Don't forget, Monday, the mother of an incest victim. See you Monday at 10.
Neil McKenty's wardrobe provided exclusively by Henry Marks on Drummond Street and Westmount Square. Transportation for McKenty Live provided by Bernard Limousines, 353-5881.